Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Tonight on America Decides, special relationship stress test. President Trump meets with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in talks that could have a lot of influence over how strong the transatlantic cooperation between the two countries remains. Topics discussed: security guarantees, yes or no, for Ukraine, and a plea from the UK to be spared from potential trade tariffs.
Prime Minister Starmer, you've been terrific in our discussions. You're a very tough negotiator, however. I'm not sure I like that, but that's okay.
Drug deterrent. President Trump's tariffs on Mexico and Canada, he says, will go into effect Tuesday unless more is done in each of those countries to stop the flow of fentanyl into the United States. Meanwhile, the current 10% trade tariff on China, the president said, will be doubled on Tuesday to 20%. President posting on social media that illicit drugs such as fentanyl are being smuggled into the United States at, quote, unacceptable levels, and that import taxes, which is what tariffs are, would force countries, he believes, to do more to crack down on that trafficking. And foreign aid freeze. The last day on the job has arrived for hundreds of employees at the nation's largest foreign aid agency, known as USAID. Employees today given 15 minutes, just 15 minutes, to retrieve their personal belongings as the State Department slashes $60 billion in grants and funding for the agency. Caitlin Huey-Burns is on Capitol Hill. Alexander Tin is here with me at the table. But we start tonight with this repertorial show of force with Nancy Cordes at the White House. And Nancy, with your permission, I'm just going to let you have open field running. Summarize today with the British Prime Minister and then the question and answer interaction you had with President Trump.
Sure. So you could tell that Prime Minister Starmer was doing his very best here at the White House today, Major, to downplay any disagreements that he or other European leaders have had with President Trump when it comes to ending the war in Ukraine. He did say that England would be willing to send peacekeeping troops to Ukraine after a deal was struck between Russia and the Ukrainians in order to prevent any backsliding. That's something that President Trump has said he will not do. But what was very interesting to watch here today, Major, was some backtracking that President Trump has appeared to do when it comes to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who he called just last week a dictator. Today, when he was asked about that term, he said, I don't remember saying that about Zelensky. Next question. And in fact, in his press conference with Starmer, he actually said that he respects Zelensky, that he thinks they're going to get along great, and that he has great admiration for the Ukrainian people who have fought very bravely against the Russians. So a distinct change of tone from President Trump. It's not exactly clear why. As far as my exchanges with the president, the first one today had to do with veterans. Some 6,000 veterans, according to Democrats, have already been laid off or fired from their jobs in the federal government because veterans make up a significant portion of the federal workforce, about 30%. So I asked President Trump about that. Take a listen. Veterans make up 30% of the federal workforce. Are you tracking how many veterans have been fired so far, and do you want DOJ to avoid letting them go?
We take good care of our veterans, so we're watching that very carefully, and we hope it's going to be as small a number as possible. But we are having great success in slimming down our government. It's been really very successful, and some took payouts and buyouts, and others took other things, and some people we're finding out don't even exist. We're finding that we have a lot of people that don't exist that people thought that did.
So President Trump saying there that they are looking out for their veterans. But again, according to estimates from Democrats, some 6,000 veterans have been fired so far, Major.
And on fentanyl, what did you talk to the president about, Nancy?
So President Trump announced today that he's going to be going forward with these 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. As you pointed out, Major, a month ago, he said he was going to give the two countries time to deal with the fentanyl problem. And if they did so, then perhaps they wouldn't be hit with these tariffs. But today, it appears he doesn't think they have done enough. And that is pretty strange in the case of Canada because so little fentanyl, according to all the data we have, actually comes into the U.S. from Canada, so it's hard to see how they could bring it down even more. Take a listen to our exchange about that. less than 1% of all fentanyl that comes into the U.S. is apprehended at the Canadian border. So why use fentanyl as a reason to impose tariffs on Canada?
They're only apprehending 1%. You're right about that. It's a little more than that. But they should be apprehending much more because a lot comes through Canada.
His claims that there's more fentanyl coming in than we know about, they just aren't backed up by any data that we've seen, Major. As far as we know right now, 21,000 pounds of fentanyl were apprehended at the southern border last year compared to 43 pounds at the northern border.
Nancy Cordes with the questions and the facts. Thank you very much.